Everybody, welcome to episode 47 of the Northstar podcast. Today, we're going to be starting our 3-part series on peptides, going on with performance and muscle gain. Peptides is something we did in episode 44, I believe, and we're going to be talking more about peptides, but basically niching down on different types. For this episode, we're going to be talking about performance and muscle gain, as performance is not just about athletes. It's for people who are planning to carry their groceries without pain, if they want to play with their children and have energy for their family, and they want to feel confident in the gym. So that's what this episode is going to be about. Focus, we're going to be covering peptides such as BPC-157, TB500, CJC-1295, as well as epimorelin and IGF-1. And what they do, basically the recovery, muscle support, and the performative edges you get with it. And yeah, Jereymi, aka Pablo Escobar in the peptide industry.
I'm actually here on the podcast. I haven't talked yet, so I'm here though. I think I'll just add on a little bit to it. I think, the biggest thing here is any information that we give is just things that we have learned and we've seen over the years. And again, we're not medical doctors, but we just want to make sure that there's proper information about this stuff. With these ones, you got to be a little bit careful with the growth hormone inhibitor ones. So the CJC, epimorelin, IGF-1, the BPC TB500, overdosing. It's not that it's not a thing, but there's different peptides that you should be a little bit more cautious with. So once we go over those, we'll go over and just again explain our side of it. A lot of the information we're giving are just based off of what's in literature or what has been in studies, or if there's been anything that we've read, or we know some individuals that have tried, or ourselves. So again, this is just experience based. I always say take a grain of salt, but do your information as well. So yeah. Great.
All right, so let's talk about what are peptides and what peptides are related to performance and what they just end up doing.
Yeah, so, peptides are amino acids usually already made in the body, or they're formed from amino acids usually from the body. There are some synthetic, that was tough to say, synthetic peptides as well that are not naturally made in the body, but that's the quickest. I'm not going to go into the full, spiel of it all. But there's some peptides here that we're talking about today is muscle gain and recovery. So the big two on this one would be BPC and TB500. BPC is probably more well known, I would say, at this current state, just because there are certain practices where you can actually prescribe it. I have not seen in Canada TB500 being prescribed personally. I might be wrong, but I have seen BPC prescribed. BPC, tissue repair, gut healing, inflammation support. Most of the times you're doing gut healing, you're probably going to take oral. And if you're going to look for more like muscle recovery, you probably want to look at the injectable route. Also, too, with BPC and TB500, you're usually injecting every single day. So if somebody's not, accustomed or comfortable wanting to do that, some people might go to the, oral route, but they've shown that more oral route is usually gut healing. There's some research showing that it could help heal other areas, but it's more mainly for the gut when you're looking at oral as well. And then I didn't mention TB500 with more like recovery, muscle tendons, strains, improves healing. So both together, usually paired. It's called the Wolverine stack.
I was going to say that, Wolverine stack.
Yeah, if you look up Wolverine stack peptides, you'll find usually TB500 and BPC paired well together. Now you can usually see them in their own vial together as well. So companies have added them together into one.
Like they bundled
vial.
it?
Yeah, so usually you'll see like 10 milligrams of BPC and then 10 milligrams of TB500 in one vial.
Yep.
And yeah, it makes it more convenient too, because then you're not having to do two different compounds, injecting two different needles. Oral, I have not seen dual. I have seen actually oral TB500. I've heard it can help a little bit with gut too. It's a lot of stuff with oral stuff. It's just certain things are going to be better oral. So certain things are going to be better injectable depending on the goal.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the day.
So for example, something like, let's say you want to increase your range of motion, you fracture your wrist or something, then you're probably going to want to do something like an injectable, or you have a certain issue with the tendon.
Yeah, you probably want to do injectable at that point, more injury related. There's conflict of research showing like injection into the site of the area. But most of the time it's systemic. So that just means like when you inject in the leg, it usually goes throughout the body.
Yeah.
I would say obviously if you were to inject in the leg and that's where your injury is, you're gonna have like for sure like the most amount in that area, and then it's systemically going to go throughout the body as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's really just dependent on the individual. Like if it's going to be in your thumb, you're probably not going to want to inject right into your thumb.
You want to do more like a fatty spot.
Yeah, right? Like a fattier spot.
Can you technically do like inside your palm?
Dude, I have, man. It hurts. Yeah.
So many nerves and everything there.
Yeah, from like baseball, I've had like some thumb issues, and I've done it like right in the middle, like where my thumb and dude, it's not even. I was like, I can't do that. So usually you can go like for like your hand or anything. I'll like to go either like tricep. You could do bicep, but tricep is usually a little bit of a less sensitive area. Just depends on the individual. And you got to be careful. Like there's, especially for, certain males that are more vascular too, you got to be careful around the arms and the legs and things like that. Yeah, you want to be careful. So, but yeah, I would say at the end of the day, those are the two main for like muscle related. These ones are not the growth hormone inhibitors that we were chatting about at the beginning. Again, when we're looking at dosages, I'm not going to say anything right now on this podcast for dose, just right now, just because, there's conflicting, and if you really want to know dosages or you want to kind of know understanding of starting stuff, just message me personally. But I would say for those, like I said, there's overdosing on taking too much. I wouldn't say it's something, obviously you don't want to take too much of anything, but I would say like out of most of the peptides, these are not going to be on the spectrum of like
severe side effects.
As severe. Yes. Right. Like if you were to inject, let's say like, a GLP and you took way too much, right? You're going to have more negative side effects for sure. But yeah.
And then frequently asked question I usually get is when you're doing something like a BPC, how long are you typically doing that? Obviously it depends. It always will depend on the scenario and the person, and everybody has different responses to how they take it.
I've done a low dose of oral BPC for, it's been like over 6 months now. Yep. But that was for my gut health. Injectable, there hasn't been really like most of the times you're going to try something for at least 8 to 12 weeks usually. Not everything. There are certain ones that you do for like a 10-day cycle, and then those are more in like longevity stuff. But for this
we'll
stuff
chat about later.
Usually this stuff is like 8 to 12 weeks, and then you take a break. Also too, just depends on the severity of the injury. Would I say just injecting BPC and TB500 without doing, like any recovery or like movements or doing anything? Like you can't just inject it and like, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah, it's a tool, right?
Yeah, it's going to help speed up things, but it's not going to be a magical thing. You just inject it and now your knee's like you were, 10 years old again, right? So you just got to be aware of that as well.
Now, you chat about like your gut as well with the oral, because you have celiac disease. Is BPC the main one that's going to be helping you with that, or do you combine it with other stuff, or have you played around?
Oral, there's another one called KPV.
Oh, yes.
That I haven't tried oral. I've tried an injectable. I just didn't have enough time to actually experiment with it.
Okay. Yep.
That's another one that would help with gut. But most of the time, if somebody's going to start with oral, any orals, it's usually BPC to C. Right? Just usually keeps things like, inflammation down. Also helps like repair things. I think the misunderstanding with just taking a relief. So like taking, maybe a digestive enzyme or, it helps break down the food, or it helps, the symptom temporarily go away.
Okay.
Where BPC would actually help, heal the gut lining. So it helps heal and helps repair things.
Yeah.
So that would be like the difference of it. So it does take time, especially it's like if you've, done
lots of
damage to your gut lining, or you've, have celiac, or you have eaten intolerances for a long time, or, you've had, maybe overconsumption of alcohol or overconsumption of, hyperpalatable foods for a long time. Sometimes it takes long for things to repair. Doesn't mean you've like done permanent damage. But again, everyone's different. You gotta play this understanding and know these things about yourself first before, knowing your history and all those things as well. So, yeah.
Cool. Another one that I wanted to chat about was CJC 1295.
Yeah. So
and epimorelin.
Yeah. So usually these could be paired together.
Yep. That's usually the combo, right? Because
it's usually a combo, so you can actually get this and a vial together as well.
Yeah. I think of it like marathon and sprinting, as like the epimorelin is like your quick burst, right? Shoots that growth hormone. That's like your sprinter, versus like the CJC, where it's like your marathon runner.
Yeah. So there's like different pathways. The one thing is like with CJC and epimorelin, sometimes not doing both right away is the best option, like together. Not saying it's a bad option. I'm just saying like sometimes just trying one or the other. I've seen people, or I've talked to people just starting epimorelin first, and then once they've tried that for some time, seeing if adding in CJC, because again, you don't want to do too much too quickly and not understand what's actually working.
Yeah.
The one thing here too is, you have to understand dosage as well, because these are going to be the ones that you got to be a little bit more careful when it comes to dosing, because you can dose too high and then you can start getting like there's some symptoms are like flushing, so you feel like a flushing or almost like a hot flash feeling.
Oh yeah.
But what these do is they boost your natural production. So a lot of times the misconception is you're not injecting like growth hormone. If you're injecting growth hormone, you're giving yourself extra growth hormone. Yeah. When you inject something like CJC or epimorelin, it helps your body produce
like the signals.
Signals
instead of doing that.
Signals to fire up more growth hormone. It's like HCG. So HCG is it's usually used for fertility, but it basically it tells your body to tell your gonads to produce more testosterone in the body. HCG, from what I remember, can also sometimes be used in females. I've seen in men for like, if they're trying to have a baby, or let's say they're taking testosterone, but they also want to have kids down the road and they don't want to lose, like, because if you take exogenous testosterone and you inject testosterone, your body will stop producing testosterone because you're now getting it from somewhere else, obviously from injecting it. So sometimes you'll pair HCG with testosterone just so that you still have that ability, like fertility option. Not saying that if you inject everyone's different, right? It's more of a precaution at that.
Exactly.
It's just like you could still be able to have kids if you just take testosterone and have no issues, but
that's a gamble.
It's a gamble, at the end of the day. So
and we're being more proactive by doing that.
It's just taking precaution, right?
Yeah. And why would people use them? I mean, growth hormone versus compared to, let's say, doing like a steroid or something like that.
It just depends on your goal, right? Like, I think all these drugs get a misconception sometimes because they've been abused. It's like any drug. When something's abused, you tend to see higher and higher side effects, right? It's like TRT, like testosterone replacement therapy. It's become more and more popular recently, and it's just a lower dose. So basically, what you do is like a lot of these hormones. Again, depending if you're just an average Joe and you want to take more, or you're a bodybuilder, and I think that's more where it came from. The bodybuilding world is they took more than what the body needed. I would say to function, right? Like if you think of if you're looking at testosterone, and let's say to be at like a a healthy, natural testosterone level, you need 100 milligrams of testosterone, right? Like some guys will do 500.
Yeah.
It's like 5 times the amount what they need. But, you know, if they're competing or they're doing these things, and that's kind of like the risk of that sport. And everyone responds to it differently. Some people can handle that much. And that was actually something that apparently Ronnie Coleman was
really good at.
He was just his body like maybe obviously like his from lifting and you know his back stuff, but like he didn't respond the same to steroids as some other guys.
Yeah.
Right. And he didn't have, you know, all the psychological effects or, you know, some of the physical effects that other guys did at those dosages. And that's just his genetics.
Yeah.
Like some people are just able to handle it.
Built different.
Right. Yeah. They're just able to handle it differently. Right. So that's also another thing is, you know, you got to understand, you know, how you start to feel and you got to really understand those things too. So.
Another thing that's pretty important is like the sleep side of it too, right? Is like when you take something like a growth hormone, naturally your sleep quality is going to be getting decently better. Yeah, because that's where growth hormones produced, right? In your pituitary gland.
And things like, you know, if it can give you a little bit of extra energy.
Like mental stim boost. Yeah, you feel sharper.
You know, when you recover, when you're, you know, not as stressed, you have better sleep, like you overall function better as an overall human.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why somebody would take it. If you're somebody to take just growth hormone by itself, you know, most of the times a microdose of growth hormone is maybe like 1 or 2 IU. I'm not going to go like
too much
deep into it, but again, you're not, you know, I've heard of guys taking, you know, 10 IUs a day.
Yeah.
That's expensive, man.
Yeah, it does add up. It adds up a lot. Yeah.
So, you know, you think of it as if somebody's taking 10 IU, that's 1 vial. They have like, that lasts them only 10 days. Right?
Crazy.
So you got to think like long-term too, you know, cost versus benefit versus, you know, like
the risks.
There's so many things to weigh out. Right. So.
And next one, IGF-1. I
haven't done.
Don't know too much about this?
No, not a ton, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't experimented with this personally. I know that I've heard taking this with a GLP can sometimes help. The reason being is muscle loss can sometimes happen with a GLP. So
yes,
taking this.
Yeah.
I don't know as many people that have tried it either, so I don't have as much of a, I would say like background. Yeah. And I don't have much of a, I guess,
yeah, I can tell you about some stuff. I was doing some research on this.
Yeah.
Was with IGF-1, so it's more higher risk. If I can find it here. It's a muscle builder. So it's a modified version of an insulin-like growth factor. Which is a hormone in your liver, which you naturally produce, insulin. If I can get this to...
You have the LR3 one, right?
Yes, the LR3 one, which is a higher risk one because it's more modified. What it potentially does is that it can promote both muscle fiber enlargement because it creates new muscle cells. So regular IGF-1 gets quickly broken down from the proteins in your blood, but the LR3 version avoids the breakdown, so it lasts, unlike minutes in your body, it goes to 20 to 30 hours when you take something like LR3 modified IGF-1. So you have much more muscle growth, creation of new cells, recovery as well because it accelerates your healing. And it's basically like a steroid version of what the original was. For fat loss, you're going to be getting a lot more lean body mass. So fat loss wise, it's going to be great. And your body, when it comes to nutrient uptake, it's going to make your muscles a lot more sensitive to nutrients and insulin, so they just end up growing. But because right now it's such a high risk thing, is if you're someone who has concerns for cancer, it's been linked to increased cancer risk in some studies. Also, I found with like blood sugar issues, it can cause like hypoglycemia, which is like dangerous drops of your blood sugar levels. And because there's not enough studies so far, there's some unknown, like the long-term side effects. So it's all due to the limited research and safety.
Yeah. I actually have it pulled up because I have a really good guide here with all peptides. But like there's anything growth hormone related, you can have growth of certain organs or, tumors or things like that. So you
Exactly.
gotta be careful.
Yes, you have to be careful, especially if you know, like family wise, like
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is, again, can't say if it's going to happen or not, but I'd probably say the likelihood of, if you took the percentage of people that have tried it and the percentage of people have tried it and individuals that have seen that actually happen versus the people have had probably the benefits of it outweighs. But
I agree.
Again, you have to talk about that, just because anything, again, everyone's body's different, right? It's you can't predict it. You can only really monitor and understand it. I have a note here too. Like anti-aging effects, supports cellular longevity. But why it's actually it was cool here. It said the IGF-1 LR3 is a modified analog of insulin-like growth factor, so just IGF-1. It was engineered with an alter amino acid sequence to extend its half-life. So if nobody knows what half-life is, it's just the amount of time it stays in the system. By reduced binding to the IGF binding proteins, allowing for greater bioavailability and enhanced anabolic. That's a lot. So it makes it easier for your body to uptake it, basically. So that's the less nerdy way of explaining it.
Appreciate it. A lot more simpler. So why don't you chat about who should use all of these peptides we just chatted about and why? So thing is like, as an athlete, you gotta I don't know all the stuff on WADA. So WADA is just the organization for drugs and what are banned and what are allowed. From my understanding, most peptides are banned by WADA because they work. Because they do their job, exactly.
Usually things that are banned on WADA for athletes that are performance-based are because they work and they help. If someone is, if someone has an injury, you could do that. If somebody has a harder time, if you don't want to go down the road of taking actual growth hormone and you want to take, it helps your body produce it more, you could. But I would just say like overall recovery, if you're, under eating and you're having a hard time getting muscle or you're
very busy
or you're like what I say, quote unquote, hard gainer might help, because sometimes these actually increase appetite as well. For sure. Just somebody who just wants to feel a little bit better. Again, you just got to be cautious with it all, right? And
you always have to, go get it prescribed, go to a doctor.
I would say advice. Like peptides in general, I wouldn't say there's a better or worse situation for someone taking it. It just depends on the individual's life
goals.
Right?
Their lifespan.
Even because you could make the argument, well, you could say growth hormone can make you hungrier, so someone who's trying to lose weight shouldn't be taking it. But then if they're taking a GLP, it kind of outweighs it. So it's the GLP will kind of balance out the hunger effects from the growth hormone, but it'll help them keep more muscle. So it's you got to understand how these kind of work and what the symptoms are of them. So,
always do your own research, right? It's just you gotta look into it, because if you're going to commit, right, it's might as well anything in life.
We'll try to break it down as best we can, but at the end of the day, it's you also, as the individual, have to
know your body, what your lifestyle is, habits.
And I don't mean just go search up BPC and then click the first website. Don't do that. You have to dig deep. A guy that I like is Hacksmith. He actually made a really cool guide, PDF guide. So he's a good source. There's a few guys, I can't remember his name. A doctor.
Dr. Jason
something. Yeah. He talks a lot about peptides.
He reacted to their content.
So there's some guys out there that have really good, really good info. Another one is, I have so many guides on peptides. That's the thing.
Stacked.
There's also a guide by it is called LVLUPA Health.
Level Up.
They
make peptides too, do they not? I'm
pretty sure they do as well. They have some good info on theirs.
I follow them on Instagram. They're good.
Another person, I'm just gonna give everyone info right now, is this one here. This one's actually a really good one too. It is by William Seeds. William Seeds. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but
SEEDS.
yeah, William A. Seeds. So he is a really good one too. It's called Peptide Protocols.
Oh yes, yeah.
Volume 1. And then this Hacksmith is called, what is it called again? It's something called just the Complete Guide to Peptides.
Oh yeah.
So by Hacksmith. So that one's really good. So those would be like, honestly, if you're gonna look for stuff, like get guides that people have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of good information out there. Like I said, don't just go on some random Google search and look at the first website. So
exactly. Yeah. And should we go into a frequently asked questions? Some of these are gonna be really funny. They'll probably make you laugh.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I got this one question. Do peptides build muscle without training?
Well, okay, so actually this is funny because they've actually shown, like they've done studies with taking testosterone.
Yeah.
People not like, so they had a group taking testosterone while lifting, a group not taking testosterone.
And lifting or not lifting?
I think it was taking testosterone, or it was something like, I think it was not taking testosterone and lifting, and then there was a group just taking testosterone, and I'm almost guaranteed the group, like obviously the guys that were doing testosterone and lifting had the most muscle.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the group that was just taking testosterone without lifting actually beat the guys
who were lifting without
testosterone. Yeah. So there is certain times where, like, especially if you're someone new, so it's like if your body now is recovering better and you're walking more and you could build a little bit. Are you going to build the copious amounts of muscle on your body that you would if you're working out? No.
Yeah.
But there could be. Again, everyone's genetics are different, so that one's like kind of but at the end of the day, I would recommend, if you're going to want to build most muscle, like you would want to, obviously your training, your nutrition is going to be important.
So kind of like how we chat, it's kind of like almost like the AI of your body, as like your body naturally kind of like, it just becomes more efficient, right? It's like how you use AI to, let's say, study or get some small, simple task. You do it to be more efficient, right? And it's like speed running, becoming more efficient while not like necessarily changing your DNA where you're taking like a steroid is, right? Next question, are they steroids? Are peptides steroids? What's the difference between peptides and a steroid?
So steroids are usually classified as something that's exogenous. So meaning like you're giving
outside source.
Well, you're giving your body. So like the example that I said about you inject testosterone, you stop producing it yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas peptides tend to stimulate the natural process of it. So it works differently.
Yes.
And that's the hard thing, is like
different mechanisms. They just
and you know what? That's the thing, is there's some like most things that were created weren't always created for like people to take 10 times the dose that they were created for, right? Like a lot of times certain steroids were, HIV patients, they need for HIV patients or, cancer patients or things like that.
Or diabetics or.
But then, you see that it works in that group. So it's like, let's take 10 the amount and then you start, building more muscle. There's certain, steroids too at low dosages that will help with like joint inflammation and joint lubrication. And so you just you got to really know your stuff. And that's why there's such a misconception, is because people just see like a headline on TV, like, this is horrible, this is the worst thing ever. And it's like, well, most of the times it's because it was abused.
Yes, exactly. It's like anything that's overdone, right? It's like there's always going to be some bad thing out of it. And another thing is like, when people do all this research, like why the companies still exist is because it does work. It's just, you will see the stuff of that one person out of the thousands and thousands of people that had a negative side effect. They go sue them, it becomes a big thing, and then that gets promoted, right? Versus the whole like internet and everything too, it runs off like controversy and all that stuff. So it's what's promoted and
to make a story, right?
Exactly. And okay, let's say you're someone who's new into training, let's say 2 years into it. Would you recommend them a peptide? I personally think it depends.
Yeah, it depends on the individual.
Depends on their age, what their body type is, their body composition, their goals.
How consistent they've been also too is like their nutrition dialed in, is their training dialed in.
Exactly. They have the foundation.
They also have the finances.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick, having healthy food for the week or picking peptides, like go get your groceries, bro.
Yes. Like a supplement, right? It's like, don't lean first into it, but
yeah, and that's the thing is like, it really just depends on someone's availability to make it work. And if you got to be consistent, just like anything. So if like your training's not consistent, and like I said, most of the times BPC or TB500 are going to be injected every single day. Like if you keep missing, every 2 days you inject, it's like, well, it's not that it's not going to work or it's not going to, it could not doesn't mean it's not going to help. It's just like, it's something that you have to be consistent with too.
Got it. Yeah. And typically, yes, we basically cover that. I want to talk about like the strategy, which would be combining your nutrition, sleep, hydration, as well as your training with peptides. But I think you basically just nailed on the spot, right? It's like nutrition wise, you're hitting your protein goals, you're making sure your nutrient uptake is up there, you're getting all your macros as well as your micros. Hydration is probably pretty important stuff, right? But that's probably going to go into our next topic that we're going to chat about with their fat loss.
Yeah, I think like the big main thing about peptides is it's just like supplements.
Yeah.
It's like, they're going to supplement something for, a certain amount of time. That's why they kind of cycle them.
Yeah.
So some of them you can cycle on, some of them you can stay on. Like it just really depends on the individual and kind of where they're at. And I think at the end of the day, it's best to know, your information and go from there. So
cool. Yeah. Want to finish off with a little bit of rapid fire questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's do a couple here.
Will BPC or 157 or TB500 make me stronger?
Not directly, but it would help, injuries and it would help with recovery. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, if you're recovering better, you're technically able to then perform quicker from your last workout, which inherently can make you stronger.
Yeah. Exactly, because recovery is everything. Yeah. But CJC 1295 and epimorelin, will it improve sleep?
Yeah, it can definitely help with sleep. Better quality of sleep. I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I slept 8 hours, but like, did you have quality sleep? Or did you wake up 50 times in a night? Like, that's not 8 straight hours, right? So you gotta look at that too, right? Yeah, because like what actual time are you sleeping, right? Yeah. And well, for general population, would you recommend IGF-1 or the LR3 version? I haven't done so much research, so I can't say yes or no on this one.
So it depends.
I would have to look a little bit more into it before like saying this is something that I have seen as safe or that I think would be worth trying. So that's my answer to that one.
And who do you think will benefit the most from peptides for performance?
I would say like people that are dialed in with their nutrition, their fitness, and just health in general. Yes. There's someone who's unhealthy, would they, and when I say unhealthy, everyone has a different definition of unhealthy, but like, at the end of the day, someone who's probably more dialed with nutrition and all these things are probably going to notice a bigger benefit. Exactly. Doesn't mean that someone who isn't as dialed in wouldn't, but everything is going to kind of work.
It's individual based.
Well, synergistically. There we go. Yeah. Big word. When you're doing all of the things, right? Yes. So it's like
compounds. It's like a chain reaction, right?
Yeah. Like when we talk about like losing body fat, it's like best obviously to do, training, weightlifting at the same time. But if like someone doesn't feel like they have the time to do both, then doing one is better than doing nothing. Exactly. Right? Yeah. So that's how I would look at it. Yeah. And
then you supplement on top of it with a peptide. Yeah. Just be more efficient than your typical supplements. Yeah. Great, man. I think that should wrap it up for this first episode on our little 3-part series here. And yeah,
part 1 of episode 47 done.
Crazy. Coming up on episode 50.
Yeah, it's coming soon, guys. So, but yeah, thanks for everyone for listening, and stay tuned for episode. Actually, we should probably, before I end it, we are actually going to weekly episodes. That's the announcement. We didn't even announce that. Wow. Okay. Announcement, everyone. So we are going to be doing weekly episodes from now moving forward. We're going to test that out for a few months and see kind of, how it goes. And they're going to be shorter episodes. So we're not going to do longer ones. We want to do shorter but more frequent. And we're going to try to do kind of part series where, we have guests, or we do part series, just depending on how things go. But we're excited to make this next, move, and get ready to hear episode 48 coming up next week. So
exactly. We love to hear your feedback, and I know a lot of people, they love to listen to this while they drive back. So loving to hear all their stories of hearing our episodes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks so much, everyone.
See ya.